Hi, this is Gayle with BERNINA of Naperville. And hey, we're back from BU. It seems like just a flash. Time really got away from me this year. And, it was all of the excitement about the Bernina 990. It's totally worth the hype. I am in love with this machine. I can't really imagine sewing with anything else from now on. I mean, it's really got everything that I didn't think I needed, but I know that sounds like a little weird, but it is just so logical and intuitive that I think any of us can sit down and casually know what this machine is going to do. It has words instead of just cryptic symbols. It's got this large screen, which enables you to have the words and to read and see what you're doing, but just the navigation, it's all just built on a platform that we're all used to using with our tablets or our smartphones. I can't express that enough to you. And with that in mind, we had some pretty intense 3 courses with the machine. There was the ultimate sewing machine, the ultimate embroidery machine, and the ultimate quilting machine. So we took those 3 classes. I took some footage from each one, but by the time we were at the 3rd one, we're kind of like, yeah, we get this. So I hope that you have the same experience with it. I mean, everything from the way that that new integrated Bernina stitch regulator feels, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even know that I wasn't on sewing on a sit down Q series. The way it just so smoothly works, it's just phenomenal. And how genius that they put that stitch regulator right down on the bobbin sensor and then make a needle plate with a little hole in it so it can see the sensor. I mean, they've really thought of all of the tiny details. And it was Christy who said at opening that the Bernina 990 has 1,000 wells. I can't wait to show you those 1,000 wells in upcoming videos and in-person classes and all of those good things. So it takes a lot to make a machine like this happen. And, a huge shout out to so many people at Bernina. Now, we always look to the mothership. These machines are made in Switzerland, and the product and development team there are just phenomenal. And quite frankly, I know some of them. I see them year after year, but some of them, I really know them. I'm so excited that my friend Andy, who actually goes by Andrea now, is on the team. And it was really fancy to see her presenting all of the cool new features with this machine. So way to go, And then, of course, there is Johannes and Henry and Svetlana and all of those folks there. And then with Bernina of America, our, friend Haley, who we use her videos a lot, teaching our courses and things like that. It's just a huge to-do to just see all of this, many years of secrets, many years of, oh, we can't talk about that, Project Hibiscus, blah, 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 just come to life. So what a weight off of all of our shoulders that we can now talk about it. And I mean, I didn't even really know anything about this. I mean, like people think I do, but I zip, nothing. All right. Also, there's Paul Ashworth, who's president of Bernina of America. Thanks, Paul. It was a great BU. Thanks, Christy, vice president of training and education. BU was fantastic. And I don't think any of you might realize how many emails Christy got from yours truly about the Skill Hub, the Bloom and Grow stuff. So thank you very much. You grace under pressure all the way, baby. So with that in mind, there's also one other person that I think it's really important to thank, and that's the chairman of the board, the rock star of sewing. When you hear this music, who's coming, right? And the closing banquet was a blast. And I had so much fun. Didn't even take my camera out. I know that's hard to believe for me, but it's true. But the years are being a little cruel to me, and I just can't stay up as late as I used to be able to. And so I made it an early evening just because I want to have a clear head to get like all the work done, all the planning. BU is a time where you take these classes, you learn from each other, you talk to your other dealer friends, and you kind of go, I think I need to rethink how I'm doing some of these things, or now it's time to launch this program, and so many fun things. But I have talked enough to you about all the woos and wows of BU, and I thought it was only appropriate to give you a mini class on the Bernina 990. Now, I don't have one here to touchy-feely use, but I'm going to work with a presentation that we got from Bernina. And we are just getting so many questions that I just wanted to make a little mini lesson on the new features and some of the wows. And I'm going to refer you to this video because it's just unbelievable. And there's just going to be more questions, more discoveries, more fanfare as we wait for our new baby to arrive in July, mid-July. I'm hoping like July 10th, but that's pie in the sky, but mid-July. Cannot wait. So I'm so enthusiastic about this. There's just what? Okay, so can you still pre-order a Bernina 990? Yes. Now the pre-order promotion is the same as the VIP charter, but now we don't have a charter, we just have VIP. So you're going to get that magic box of goodies. You're going to get, like delivery of the machine in a more timely fashion if you pre-order. But I just want you to know. So your pre-order now, if you have not pre-ordered with the charter membership and you're like, I really wish I would have done this, your pre-order with us also helps us get an idea of how many more Berninas we need to order on top of all of the pre-orders that we took in. So keep that in mind. And then also, if the Bernina 990 isn't for you, it's out of your price range, or it's just not something that's going to fit nicely in your sewing room, well, you know what? When you comment on this video, be kind. We realize that we're excited about this machine, but not everybody is. But I don't need, to hear that it's ugly. I don't need to hear all of these things. That's fine. Scroll on. All right. Are we okay with this? Are you mad at me for saying that? I hope not, because your opinion does matter to us. And we have tens of other machines that we offer. And we are going to be talking about some of those others, but this video is focused on the Bernina 990 and its new features. So, okay, I'm done talking. Let's go over to the computer and have a look at what you can expect with this machine. So here it is. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. So we will be all creating magic with this machine, and maybe as we become more familiar with it, we'll be making it in ways that we never really thought we would be making it. So let's meet this new machine. The product design, let's talk about this for a minute. It is mostly white, but it does have a lot of curved lines, and it's slimmer. Yes, it's a larger machine, but it doesn't feel like it. It's really comfortable to be sitting at the machine. It's got like these nice like silver accents along the base of the machine, along the little strip there under the touch screen. The knobs, I have to tell you, I'm really excited that the knobs do not have a mirror on them, so I don't look like a snuffleupagus when I'm staring at the machine. So that's a very cool thing. And the embroidery module also has some of these silver accents, and I just really like it. It's just modern looking to me. So why is this the ultimate Bernina machine? Well, first of all, let's just talk with the basics. I know all of you know this already, but it's big. It's 14 inches to the right of the needle. And it's really a nice size. It's a nice size to still be portable. I know you're chuckling at me over that, but it's also not too big. It's just right, quite honestly. And it is the largest Bernina sewing and embroidery system, of course. And it's really nice for quilting. And you know me, I love embroidery, so I cannot wait to bust out that giant hoop that we learned comes with this machine standard. So there it is. No module on it right here. But another thing that I've gotten a comment on is that it looks like the freehand system is just totally in the wrong place, like right here in the middle. But no. That is actually where it needs to be if you're going to be sitting at center needle position. So it's in the same spot as the other machines. It just doesn't kind of seem like it, right? So I just wanted to point that out to you. The centrally located screen, you know, Bernina has stuck to this design. And I have to say, I'm really glad that they did, because if you've ever sewn on a machine where the screen is off to the side, I find that I'm having to look too far away from where I'm looking, you know, bad eyesight or whatever. I just find that I'm having to take my eyes off of looking down at my work and look over at the screen. So I really appreciate that they kept this screen located, and it is 10.1 inches, which that is big. And that feels kind of like a little iPad stuck there. The gesture enabled, as you can see here in the picture, it's really that you pinch to make it smaller and you pull your fingers apart to make it wider, just like your iPhone or your other touchscreen device. And there's a little example here where it shows the triple stitch, but the icons show with the description underneath. And some of you might be using a Bernina Q-matic system, and the screen is very similar to Q-matic in that regard. The interface is very new, but it's going to feel so familiar to you, not just because of your previous Berninas or whatever. It's going to feel familiar to you because this is how you use a computer these days. It's got the same little hamburger icon. You can look up here in the top of the screen here and see that little hamburger icon is what we call it, and that's just a home menu. You'll see that on your iPhone and different apps and things like that. And now I don't know how many of you are working with Wi-Fi connectivity with your Bernina 790 Pros, but this is going to use the Bernina Stitch Out app as well. Now, I don't have a 990 to play with, so I can't show you exactly how it works on the 990, but it is going to be compatible with that Bernina Stitch Out app. Bernina Pinpoint Laser, well, this is going to work just like it does on the Bernina 790, but those of us that have been waiting for the 990, well, we get a laser now as well, and it's going to work in sewing mode and in embroidery mode. And in embroidery mode, it's going to aid the positioning with our virtual positioning, our pinpoint placement, and different things like that. And it acts as an extra level of accuracy when you are working with the camera functionality. So the placement, scanner, and camera. So this is so cool. You can see over here that the camera is actually it's not taking a picture at this moment. It's just literally viewing what's happening down with the foot. And so if you're trying to stitch in a very specific area on fabric, you can see it rather easily. Really great way for you to sort of see what's happening with the stitch as we're stitching. It's a way that we can kind of preview what the stitch is going to look like on our fabric without having some like weird green projector come down onto the fabric. But oh my word, when we get to the scanner to scan the fabric that's in the hoop, this camera is unbelievably crisp. It's just amazing. And if we look at this section here, like this is a fairly small little rosette here, but it really allows us to place our embroidery designs exactly on a certain spot that we want, tiny little embroidery designs and whatever with great accuracy. Between being able to scan the fabric, bring it up to the screen and attach or place our embroidery designs, then to double check as you zoom in and touch the exact little needle penetration point on your embroidery to get on that flower. Holy cow, this is really something I can't show you in a PowerPoint. You just have to come into the store and look at this in person. Now, you need some help and you don't want to open the printed manual that comes with the machine. Well, you go to the Bernina Help Center. And now in the past, we've had the tutorial links, we've had the getting started, we've had creative consultant and all of that stuff. Well, we still have these things. We have a quick start, a user manual, and a consultant, but they all kind of work together and you can search. That's really important that you can search. And one thing that I don't know if I've told you yet, but the manual And the words in this new Bernina 990, they were written in English first. So there's not a lot of Swinglish on this machine, and hopefully that translates into us being able to understand what the developers were doing with this machine. So here's our quick start, and that's just, kind of getting started with threading and different kinds of stitching, and you can pick the topic, and there's animations and illustrations and sewing and embroidery information, maintenance and troubleshooting, all of those good things. Now, we love the Bernina L890 overlocker and cover stitch machine and that guided access. This is really, I don't want to name something that it's not called on these machines, but this is very much like the closest you can get to guided access on a machine. I can't understand how anybody that is even brand new to sewing, wouldn't be able to sit down on this machine, look through these tutorials, pick what they want to do, and boom, get started with sewing. In addition to the Help Center, you can also do your quick help features like in the past. I love that where I can just touch the question mark and then touch the feature. We still have that, but the searchability really helps us connect the dots on those things. There's updated tutorials for the Creative Consultant. In Creative Consultant, what you want to think of it this way is that it's based on fabric selection, and there's sewing, embroidery, and quilting sections. Quilting not just being putting the 3 layers of stuff together, your top, your batting, and your backing, but also consider things like applique is included in this. And in addition, there are step-by-step tutorials with photos. And you can see here is an example of using lightweight fabric and then wanting to do some decorative sewing and how you can read the different information. And then once you look at everything, white is what it automatically changes, and other things are a suggestion. Then you read the tutorial, and you can see actual pictures of what's happening. And then once you're happy, you click the little green button. Yes, I would like to continue with the settings, and it's going to select your foot, a stitch, and all of those fun things. Now, we can also connect with an external device. So how does this work? Well, you easily can follow the tutorials and the user manual by accessing the Help Center on an external device like your tablet or your phone. And you're going to connect the machine and the device to the same Wi-Fi network and simply scan the QR code. And that is going to kind of put what you're looking at on the sewing machine screen onto your tablet so that you don't, if you are in your sewing mode, you don't want to have to exit out of that and keep reading. So this way you have that information right on your tablet so you can continue with your project. Now, do you have to have a tablet to operate this machine? Absolutely not. It's just a nice to have if you're somebody that really wants all of the information at your fingertips. This is a wow for me is the stitch plate recognition. And one reason is I quite often forget to tell it that I have a certain stitch plate on, and then boom, shakalaka, I break my needle. Okay, I'm sure some of you have been in that position. But this time, if I have a 0 millimeter needle plate on the machine, it's going to know I have a 0 millimeter needle plate. Now, another thing that you might have noticed in the past is when you put your single needle or single 0 millimeter needle plate on, whatever stitch you have just shows like as skinny. There's no red area. It's just skinny. And you're like, what has happened to my machine? Why am I only getting a straight stitch? Clearly there's something wrong with the board. Come on, you've all been there. And this time we can actually see that indeed we have picked a zigzag stitch or whatever decorative stitch, but it's showing red because it's recognizing that we have the straight stitch needle plate on here. And it does this for the 9 millimeter. Obviously you get the full range of width with that one, but it also does it for the 5.5 millimeter and like I said, the straight stitch. So it's easy to thread. It's going to thread pretty much like the 790 Pro. it goes a little bit faster. And if we look on the back of the machine here, we see that we have 3 spool caps. So we've got one that they have here that we recommend for just winding a bobbin. And then these are 2 vertical ones that would, you use this similar to your multiple spool holder. And then there's also a horizontal one over here. So there's a new slide-on extension table you might have seen in our other video that we did from BU, and it's large, it's sturdy because it's got support legs. There are 2 on the front and 2 in the back. It's 12.5 inches wide and 25.9 long. Or maybe I got that backwards, but you can kind of see in the picture, right? And and so this is really cool because I think this is something that you all have asked for, because sometimes we just need that extra support right there when we put our elbows on the table, right? And then a dust cover and an embroidery module dust cover. I find that to be quite helpful. And I haven't seen this in person. I must have just missed it when I was at the Merchant Mall, but nonetheless, there we go. And yes, you can really sew without limitations on this machine. And the reason is because there are 2,927 stitch patterns to choose from, or you can create your own with Stitch Designer. And imagine how fun it will be to make those stitches on this super large screen. Now, in addition, there's also this new feature called Jumbo Stitch. And basically, Jumbo Stitch is going to allow you to take a small stitch that's like 5.5 millimeters wide, 9 millimeters wide, whatever, and make it 500 times bigger. So that could turn a little decorative stitch into a quilting stitch. It keeps the integrity of the stitch. It is just amazing. And if you do something and you're like, why did I do that? There's undo and redo. And you can even customize the stitch altering area. And you can see there on the photo on the right here that the foot is turned, to the side. Well, sometimes we need to kind of see how things are going to stitch sideways, particularly if you're doing writing and things like that. And let's not underestimate the pinpoint laser for some of these decorative stitches and the preview of the fabric with that camera function I told you about. So there's a new edit menu that replaces that little I button. Remember the I button? Does it mean inspect? Does it mean information? We don't really know, but we don't need to worry about that now. So this edit menu, have you ever worked on a computer and there's a little bar? It's kind of similar in Bernina Embroidery Software 9. You hit the little plus sign and then something falls down here and you see more features. That's how the edit menu works. And in the edit, there's pattern repeat, mirror up, down. How do I know these symbols? Well, guess what? I can read, and that's what is written below each one of these symbols. We have some new things. There is move, and there is unify width and unify length. We're not going to get into those right now. There's stop and tie offs and things for combination options. There's even the balance, dual feed, and stitch density, and buttonhole options here. So all of these things are clearly labeled, and it makes sense when you look at them. We can customize our stitch altering area. So you can visualize your sewing stitches and your edits in real time. I think that's really important. We can also opt to see the foot or not see the foot. We've got full screen preview that you can see there. We've got zoom in and out on the stitch. We have the way where we can visualize it going sideways. I just mentioned that. And we can view a grid. And then this is what it looks like when we have the camera on. Now, this jumbo stitch, it allows us to enlarge or reduce the size of stitches from 25% to 500%. And it's going to give us recalculation, which is really important. So in this example, this stitch started off kind of small. It's here, it's 12.7. This was still a multi-direction stitch,
But when we add jumbo stitch to it, we have the capabilities to keep increasing the size. And you can see this width growing as we keep making it larger. There we're at 50.8 centimeters and 67.7. And now finally at 500%, this is 84.6 millimeters, which is going to be about something that I can't do the math, but 4 inches maybe, something like that. Oh, it says right here, if I could read my own presentation, I could tell you that it is 3.33 inches. BU brain, everybody, BU brain. Your jumbo stitches become something that you can do surface embellishment with. You can do quilting, endless embroidery, anything that you can dream up. And many years ago, there was a BU when they introduced the BERNINA 200 Artista machine. Remember that one? Kind of tagline was, your imagination is your only limitation. And I can feel pretty confident that that is truly the case with this new BERNINA 990. So let's talk a little bit about quilting with all of these new possibilities that this BERNINA 990 brings us. And I don't think it's any secret that the BERNINA stitch regulator is now the BERNINA integrated stitch regulator. It's compatible with all quilting applications, including ruler work. So any free motion foot, you're going to get stitch regulation with this. It's amazing. And we also have mode 1, mode 2, and that elusive mode 3 that we just couldn't get on our BERNINA 880s, no matter how much we bugged the folks at BERNINA International. So that's pretty exciting. And doing the regulation is pretty easy. You're going to attach the stitch regulator plate. That's the 5.5 millimeter stitch plate. You activate the BERNINA integrated stitch regulation mode from the home screen. You select the quilting presser foot you wish to use, and boom, you're done. The only thing that you have to remember is to keep your bobbin door closed, because I'm one of these folks that, you know what, I leave the door unlocked, I walk out of my car, forget to shut the car door. Yeah, guess what? Sometimes I forget to close my bobbin door. There's so many more things about quilting, but come on, let's talk about this giant hoop, right? So the new giant hoop is 16.1 inches by 12 inches, and it allows us to have the capability to embroider a full 12-inch square. It comes, get a hold of yourself, sit down and clutch your pearls. It's packed in the embroidery module box. So that means it's actually going to come with it standard. And it's got that ergonomic twist lock closure that we love. Now, they've additionally given us fabric clamps. They're like these little black springy things. And it's going to hold the hoop a little bit extra tight for those applications where you might need it. So we talked about the touch gesture editing. Well, let's see a little bit about what it's like when you are using it in embroidery mode. You can just simply use your finger to enlarge and reduce on the little nodes that surround the perimeters. This example that you're watching here is using a mouse, because you see that little arrow there. But this is so intuitive and easy, and we can zoom in, we can zoom out, we can enlarge, we can reduce very easily without going to an edit menu to do so. And a lot of this can also be acquired with the use of the toolbar. So this is a sliding zoom in, zoom out bar. This is where we can see a grid, we can see what's been scanned in the hoop, or we can scan the fabric in the hoop. And of course, then we can pick the hoop that we want to see. And here's some examples of what it's like when it's zoomed in, what it's like when we see the grid, what the background show hide feature looks like. And we've got the other background options. When we're scanning an image, we're going to press this button here, and we're going to say, do we want to scan? What do we want to do? Do we want to delete the scan? All of those things. And then we even have as simple as this, changing the background color in case you just want to see what your embroidery looks like on something other than a white background. I mentioned that we have a new edit menu in the sewing side. Well, that also goes for the embroidery side. So no more I button in this either. Under this collapsible menu here, we have our move, rotate, and buttons that you might be used to. But don't forget, you also have that on screen where you can adjust the nodes to resize proportionately and disproportionately. We can even see colors of all of the thread, more than just like 6 colors at a time. We have arrange icons, which are pretty fantastic. We have lettering, we have positioning, and we even have some new features in positioning. I am a big fan of the show stop start, which we'll get to in just a moment. Customizing the lettering is really easy. You can limitlessly enlarge and reduce and still have great quality. A lot of you will really appreciate the QWERTY keyboard that we had in the 790 Pro is now brought over to the 990. And then with being able to do returns and enter multiple lines, we get a lot more text editing. And we can even correct a misspelling without having to create our word again. And then let's have a look at creating some lettering on the Bernina 990. You can see we can write multiple lines. We can justify it, right, left. We can change the font and preview the font in the preview area. Once we say okay, we can look at it there and see how we like it. And now with the customizable quilt designs, get a load of this. Not only can you read the BQM files, but you can read other brand file extensions as well. And there's lots of built-in designs that you can play with. And there's a combination of edge-to-edge designs, corner designs, border designs, and block designs. And in this example to the right here, in this quilt that Andy made, you can see they're very modern, very usable designs. Now, I talked about this new feature that I like called Start Stop. And basically what it is it is worked nicely in conjunction with some other features. But in this case, what we can do is we can match our stop start points without trying to get the magnifying glass out there to see them. We can also flip the stop start position to actually line up a quilting design perfectly. This is best used with the built-in quilting designs. You can't flip the start stop on an EXP file, but nonetheless, this is something that I use all the time for my quilting designs when I'm quilting in the hoop. And then, of course, when we're in ShapeMaker, we also have that capability to show the stop start points so that we can really connect our little tiny stitchy designs together without having weird little jump stitches or gaps. In Shape Designer, if any of you have ever used Shape Designer, that is pretty fun and awesome on the 880, but on the 990, we now have the ability to combine designs together. We also have the ability to use more than one stitch or more than one design to create a border. The color menu, like I mentioned, is just way more intuitive and visual. And Color Wheel is far more user-friendly. And the Arrange submenu is so nice. It allows us to move designs around, group 2 designs together, line them up, do all sorts of stuff that, we had to do multiple steps for on our previous Bernina machines. We have pinpoint placement, just like on the 790 Pro. It looks a little different because of the new interface, but there's morph, there's the inner margin, there is the, free point, and still we have the grid. Now, one of the things that I find to be the most useful is that our stitch out summary that appears once we say we're ready to stitch the design. For instance, when we stitch out the design normally, we have to know that we wanted to turn off thread away, that we wanted to do this, that, and the other, that we wanted to adjust our fabric thickness, all of those things. Well, now, before we get started, when we press that little needle and the little dots, which is our stitch screen, we can choose now if we want it to be quilting settings, if we want our basting, how we want our thread cutting to be, all of these things. So it's like, okay, this machine is going to make you get ready to embroider to save yourself from yourself. And then there's an example of what our new stitching screen looks like. The larger screen makes it easier to put more intuitive language on the screen. We've still got our zoom in, zoom out options. We have a scrollable color layer base here that you can see, and this looks very similar to the Stitch Out app if you've ever used that on your 790 Pro. And then we have an easy return to edit screen. And then that replaces that little crayon that was over here on the side. Remember that? And then we also have our broken stitch, or maybe I want to restitch or whatever. And that is what that little symbol meant back, on our other machines. And then this sewing machine, embroidery system, embroidery combination machine, the ultimate machine, whatever you want to say, is compatible with the new Bernina embroidery software Designer Plus. And you are going to be able to save designs and read it in Designer Plus. You're going to be able to send from Designer Plus. You're going to be able to send designs over the Wi-Fi network, everything, okay? So here's the drill. I just received the update to V9 in my dealer copy of the software. That came to me on Monday, June 24th. You will be receiving this soon. It's not like all of you in the universe are going to get the update at the same time. It gets pulsed out. So you just want to make sure between like now and you get the update that your software is open and you're connected to the internet so that you can get your update. And of course, that update is going to allow you to be able to see the new giant hoop. And it's going to have that new design transfer engine in it that will be able to read your B990. And here you can see an example of that new, write to machine function. This will be a button that will allow you to take what you've scanned in your hoop and read it in your software. This is going to be an example of what that's going to look like in your machine. Pretty cool, right? But there's more. There is more new features. There's a file manager. I think many of you have asked for this, where we save a design and you want to name it. You want to name it something that you can remember. We have preview information, so you can see information about a design simply by touching and holding it when you are selecting a design, and it'll show you the stitch out time, how many colors, and the size. Then we have a new settings section. And this is basically, once again, very user-friendly, very easy to see, easy to program your buttons. I think we've ever taken our Programming Pizzazz class, you are familiar with what settings look like. Well, now we have a little bit more explanation. We can search. That's a big one. The lock screen is the same as our eco mode, except the little icon is now a lock image. When you press the hamburger button over here on the side, then you get a lock image that shows up on the side there. And you just select that, and then it will lock your machine. So we've just touched a little bit. This is not everything about the machine. You can imagine I don't want to keep you for too long. But I thought I would take this opportunity now to just kind of answer some frequently asked questions that you guys have been writing me and calling me about. So yes, the hoops from a 5, 7, 8 series will fit. The 990 will fit in a cabinet with at least a 31-inch opening. But if you're looking for more space to the left of the needle, where you get that center needle position, you may consider a cabinet, the new Luxe cabinet with the 34-inch opening. And we are taking orders for those now. You can still do embroidery with the new 9mm plate with a sensor for twin needle work. You just picking the needle plate in embroidery is an option, not a mandate. The machine has the tassel stitches. Some of you were really concerned about that, and I got some questions about it. And a lot of you are very passionate about the fact that the feed dogs drop automatically on your 880. Well, that is still happening on the Bernina 990. So yes, the feed dogs drop automatically. Why do I need a removable number 42 BSR foot? Well, fastidious quilters, they swear by using a straight stitch needle plate for free motion straight stitching, right? Well, the BISR needle plate is 5.5 millimeters. So if you want to be able to use a straight stitch needle plate with your stitch regulated free motion quilting, then you will have to use the straight stitch needle plate and the traditional BSR foot. Another question was, will the multiple spool rack fit for my machine that I bought a couple years ago, 10 years ago, whatever? So this is a shot right out of the 990 manual, because some of you aren't believing me when I tell you this, but you see these little screw holes right there and see that this number says number 2? Well, look at number 2, connection for multiple spool holder. It's not a new design. It's the same one, everyone. And you get those 2 little screws with the little white washers that hold the rack, and you screw those in and you put the multiple spool rack on there. Video to come as soon as I physically have possession of this new fancy machine, okay? And then here are the footprints and the specs. So as we can see, the machine is 26.5 inches wide and 9.5 inches deep. The information that I don't have is exactly how tall it is, but I'll get that to you in due course. The embroidery module footprint is 25 by 21.7 inches, and the weight of the machine is 42.3 pounds. Module is 15 pounds. So just a little bit heavier than the 880. So I will be doing an unboxing video. Please look for that. I don't know when it's going to be coming because I don't know exactly when I'm going to get my floor model, but whatever happens that day we get this machine, Gayle is checked out for the day and she's going to unbox this herself. I might need some help from Chris, but fair warning, the 990 packaging is different than our other machines. The top of the machine box is secured with these twist locks here, and you have to undo these, and then you're going to magically lift up the box, okay? So do not cut open the top. And then it can be used again if you move, if you repack, I don't know. Please don't bring it into your classes with it in the box, though. You get the luggage for that. But just be fair warning that you're going to use the little twisties, just like when you get any other kind of heavy equipment delivered or picked up or whatever, okay? Here are the needle plates. Like I mentioned, they have sensors now, and the sensor is under the needle plate, and this means that the current stitch plates are not compatible with the 990. If you put an old stitch plate on your 990, it's just not going to recognize that anything is there. Also, these new plates will not fit your old machine. But here's the good news. The straight stitch, the 5.5 millimeter, and obviously the 9 millimeter plates, they are included in your machine. So you do not need to worry about those. The only thing that you're going to need to pick up additionally is the punch tool plate, which I have over here by itself in outer space. This one is going to be one that if you have the punch tool that you're going to need to order in order to continue to do your punch tool work. I mentioned bringing your machine into classes. Well, there is the luggage set here, and you get 3 pieces. There is the machine base with the 360-degree wheels. The embroidery module bag has wheels. And then this is our little accessory case. And then here is the new Bernina Luxe Plus cabinet. We are currently taking orders on these. We offer free delivery within the Chicagoland area. The folks at Horn and Bernina together have come up with a really wonderful cabinet. It's got more leg space to the left of the machine. There's a new kick plate right here that prevents the foot control from getting stuck under the cabinet. If you know, you know. And then it's got this wonderful little corner here that we can expand our sewing area so we can hold like a large quilt or something like that in there. There is module hoop storage for this new larger embroidery module. And of course, the drawers have the soft close, and it's just optimized for the 990, even with the fact that it can drop very low to make sure that the entire machine gets tucked away under that opening when it's not in use. And yes, this does fold up completely to cover your machine if you need to tuck it away when you're not using it. And there you go, made in Switzerland, beautiful and white and clean, just like the snowy Alps.
Okay. Are you overwhelmed? Is your head full? Mine's full. I just don't even know. I don't even know how I'm going to make it until mid-July when our floor model comes in. But I'll persevere. I've got a house to build. I've got furnishings to pick out. I've got lots of antiquing to do. So I'll find a way to keep myself entertained. And I hope that you will keep yourself entertained on our Bernina of Naperville YouTube channel. There's lots to watch. I think we're almost at 500 videos. So it's easy to tune in. You just visit youtube.com/Bernina of Naperville, and there you can like, comment, and subscribe. Happy ultimate sewing, everyone. Whew, I need a nap.